fall along the Charles River. Harvard football, the real centennial year. This is Ned Martin with Harvard Football Highlights 1974. A year led by All-America candidate split end Pat McAnally, number 84. A mover in Coach Joe Restic's wild, wonderful offensive system. A system reaching full maturity in his fourth coaching year. They open against Holy Cross. Harvard kicks off and creates its own break. Al Costello recovers a ball that wasn't even challenged. First down, Harvard on the 20. 2 plays later, fullback Neil Miller bursts for 6 yards. Down near the goal now, Milt Holt passes to Pat McAnally, who's called out on the 1. Alki Sitsos crunches it in. Harvard leads early 7-0. Later they get a break on this roughing the kicker penalty. McAnally spilled. New life, and Holt hits halfback Ed Cronin for 7 yards. Alki Sitsos then is called. He responds with a 42-yard field goal. Harvard 10, Holy Cross nothing in the first quarter. The cross comes back a little later, starting at the Harvard 48. Hunt sweeps for 10, tackled by Page and staggers. Quarter ends 10-0 Harvard. The Crusaders stay mostly on the ground, but this pass from Morton to Quayle gets them to the 1-yard line. Whence they score to make it Harvard 10, Holy Cross 7 at the half. Harvard Sitsos gets the second half kickoff back to the 22-yard line, beginning what looked like a strong Crimson drive. Especially when quarterback Holt spins off 3 tacklers for an 18-yard pickup. But a fumble turns it over. The Crusaders execute a nifty double reverse, getting 11 yards before being dropped by Joe Sciola. But here, Bob Shaw, number 77, tackles Hunt for a 6-yard loss. The next Holy Cross series ends with Fran Cronin blocking Morton's punt. Ball recovered by George Newhouse at the 21. Things look good here, but a clipping penalty takes off the edge, and McAnally coffin corners it to the Cross 6. Last play of the third period, sophomore Tommy Wynn moves 8 yards to the Crusader 11. Holt rolls off tackle into the end zone, but a holding penalty stays the execution in the fourth quarter. They get it this time, though. A screen pass to Tom Lincoln, a 27-yarder, and a 17-7 Harvard lead. 3 minutes later, Mike Page pulls off an interception, returning it to midfield. And now watch. The motion, the flooding of the zone. Holt pitching, McAnally catching, 47 yards. Harvard 24, Holy Cross 7. But Holy Cross is not quit. Standout defensive back John Provost, who had 4 interceptions the week before, does his job and goes to the Harvard 31. An 11-play drive is culminated here. Morton to Fitzsimmons for the last score of the afternoon. The Crimson convinces Holy Cross 24-14. Game 2. And the Crimson, worried by injuries to fullback Neil Miller, tight end Pete Curtin, and halfback Ed Cronin, take the field against Rutgers University, which has always done well at Harvard Stadium. Harvard's Alki Sitsos returns the opening kickoff 16 yards. Halfway through the first period, Milt Holt to Pat McAnally, 12 yards. Harvard moves down to the 6. Then Holt passes over the middle to Mack again for the touchdown. Harvard leads 7-0. Later in the period, Rutgers moves with this reverse to the Harvard 5. And this score by the tough fullback Kurt Edwards, making it 7-7. Second quarter, Milt Holt to Alki Sitsos for 12. And again for 10. A play later, the Holt to McAnally connection, and it's Harvard 14-7. Harvard safety Fran Cronin aborts a Rutgers drive with this interception. But the Scarlet posts a safety when Tommy Wynn is tackled back into the end zone. The Crimson lead narrows to 14-9. And that's the way the half ended, despite nice plays like this Holt to Bob McDermott pass. Third quarter, after a Harvard fumble, Rutgers scores here and converts a two-pointer, 17-14 Rutgers. The Crimson comes back later with Eric Kurzweil's recovery at the 18. And Holt pitching, McAnally catching one more time. Harvard out in front, 21-17 after 3 quarters. Final period and Harvard starts again. Holt to McDermott, 9 yards. Same combination down to the Rutgers 16. But after that, the drive fails. The Scarlet now drives downfield, keyed by this 37-yard pass play to Mark Twitty to the Harvard 4. And quarterback Bert Kossip goes in for the winning touchdown. Rutgers 24, Harvard 21, a frustrating loss going into Ivy League play. The Crimson hits the road, going to New York City for its first Ivy League game against the Lions of Columbia University under new head coach Bill Camel. Harvard is favored, but some things go a bit awry at the start of the game. The kickoff returned by Tommy Wynn goes well enough, with the fumble gaining 5 yards. But this fumble doesn't fare so well, and Columbia's in business. Bob Watson punts, but Harvard roughs the kicker, 15-yard penalty. The Lions fumble in turn, but then get the ball back on an interception. Coming up. This time, the Lions take advantage. Jose Rios to Bob Watson. Columbia takes a 6-0 lead. On the next kickoff, Tom Wynn breaks a beauty of a return to the Harvard 46. Milt Holt mixes things up well. Here he hits McAnally for 15 yards. And passes to Bob McDermott to put Harvard ahead 7-6. Second quarter. Here's a picture catch by Big Mac, a 33-yarder to the Columbia 21. Later, Holt rolls it in to make it 14-6, Harvard. Meanwhile, the defense is at work. Bob Shaw sacks the quarterback. And Hardy Wiedemann follows suit. Harvard leads at halftime, 14-6. Third period, Paul Dowling deflects. Fran Cronin intercepts, and the beat is on. Down to the 2, where Holt hits Wynn. The two-pointer is missed, but it's now 20-6, Harvard. The Lions move 35 yards, but then Rios is intercepted by safety Bill Emper. Harvard sophomore Mark Taylor hits the middle for 15 yards. Taylor again for 19. Guess who for the touchdown here? Mark Taylor, of course. Tsitsos adds the extra point. It's now 27-6 Harvard after 3 quarters. Final period, Bill Emper does his thing again, intercepting at the 37. Quarterback Doug Gordon now in, passes to tight end Tom Haggerty to make it 34-6. That's the way the game ends. as Steve Dart here gets good yardage on the final play of the afternoon. Harvard starts with a win in the Ivy League. The Big Red of Cornell comes to town, highly regarded this season. 2 fine running backs and a transfer quarterback that is making the club move. A pivotal game for the Crimson and for its secondary led by Mike Page, number 46. Cornell and Harvard, 2 Ivy League dark horses, go to work. With a couple of minutes gone, Cornell starts to move. Don Finelli goes for 12 yards, tackled by Fran Cronin. Iowa State transfer Kevin Sigler hits his tight end for 20 yards to the Harvard 24. 5 plays later, Finelli takes it in to make it 7-0 Cornell. The Crimson gets something going. Holt passing to split end Jim Curry, 16 yards into red territory. Drive goes down to the 23 where Alki Sitsos hits a 40-yard field goal. Cornell 7, Harvard 3. The visitors come right back. Sigler hits his split end Starks for 18 yards. Later passes to Werbinski for a 13-yard touchdown play. Cornell leads 14-3. After 6 exchanges in the second quarter, Harvard scores on this Holt sweep. Cornell still leads by 4 points, 14-10. More trouble. With time running out in the half, Cornell's ball at the Crimson 13 after this fumble. With 6 seconds left, Sigler to Starks to make it 21-10 at halftime. Third quarter and the Harvard defense turns the game around. This pass blocked by Kurzweil, intercepted by Charlie Kay. From the 16, Holt zeroes in on Jim Curry to make it Cornell 21, Harvard 18 after a 2-point conversion. 3 plays after the kickoff, Mike Page pulls off an interception, hauls it 41 yards to put Harvard out in front for the first time, 25-21. Defense again as Bob Shaw sacks the quarterback. Shaw again to whack Sigler and force the fumble. Wiedemann recovers. That sets up the halfback pass. Tommy Wynn to McAnally for a touchdown and an 11-point Harvard lead. Cornell doesn't die easily. Dan Malone gets 38 yards here. Page on the tackle. And Finelli goes 5 yards to bring the Big Red to within 5 points. But a moment later, the play of the game, and here's the way it went.
Holt back to throw, looking right, screen set up for Wynn. He completes it to the 30, Wynn to the 40, Wynn to the 50, Wynn cutting back to the 45, gets the block at the 40, halfway 30, he's going for 20, being chased to the 15, the 10, the 5, touchdown Harvard!
In the fourth quarter, McAnally comes up with a play he's practiced all season. A 38-yard gain, dulled by a penalty. Cornell still tries, but there's that man Shaw again on the tackle. And here's Paul Hartnett putting an exclamation point on the great second half defensive effort and a big Harvard win, 39-27. Defensive halfback Joe Sciola, number 40, is going to be a factor this day. Harvard playing Dartmouth at Hanover, New Hampshire. The first Crimson visit here since 1955. The Harvard seniors have never beaten Dartmouth. Harvard kicks off before a capacity crowd at Memorial Stadium. Dartmouth comes out right now with the home run ball. Tom Snickenberger to Tom Fleming for 40 yards. The Big Green moves with ease to the 18, but here Harvard's John Clark recovers a fumble. 2 exchanges later, Harvard on its 49. Holt finds McAnally for 34 yards to the Dartmouth 18. And soon the Crimson draws blood as Alki Sitsos sweeps for 7 and the touchdown, 7-0 Harvard. Second quarter, the Crimson defense meets Dartmouth at its own game. Bob Shaw lays it on Green quarterback Mike Brake. Shaw again, and a loss of 6 more yards. Toward the end of the half, it looks good for Harvard. Holt to McAnally, but the touchdown is called back. Offensive interference. Dartmouth tries to move, but here Joe Sciola intercepts, and Harvard holds a 7-0 lead at halftime. The second half begins with Harvard wondering why it was only leading by a touchdown. The answer, the always tough green defense. Pat McAnally not only has to do the kicking here, but the tackling, as Mike Feasel makes a 39-yard return. Dartmouth begins its move. Snickenberger to his time for 21. They move 51 yards in 8 plays. Buzz Schmalo scores, and Bob Shaw is injured on the play. It's now tied 7-7. But Harvard moves right back. Here's a Holt pass to tight end Bob McDermott, 17 yards. And with a 4th and 1 at the Dartmouth 35, Milt Holt rambles 34 yards to the 1-yard line and sets up this score by Sitsos again the extra point, and it's 14-0 Harvard. Fourth quarter, McAnally does double duty again. He saves the touchdown by tackling Tom Fleming, who was on his way. Mack later belts one 58 yards just into the Dartmouth end zone. Seconds later, it's defense again as Eric Kurzweil surrounds a fumble. And soon the Crimson adds 3 very big points on Jim Curry's first field goal, a 22-yarder. Harvard leads 17-7. After a recovered fumble, Dartmouth drives. Brate to Fleming, 13 yards. Here, a tough call against Harvard. Interference at the 1-yard line on a 4th down play. And Brate sneaks in to bring the Green to within 2 points with a 2-point conversion. Harvard leads 17-15 as McAnally kicks out at the Dartmouth 5. Last play of the game. Brate throwing for Tom Fleming deep, and Joe Sciola saves it with a great play, a turning point win for Harvard. A long time coming. Harvard still unbeaten in the Ivy League. Standout defensive tackle Bob Shaw will face Pennsylvania with 2 cracked ribs suffered in the Dartmouth game. And fullback Neil Miller, after sitting out the first half of the season with an injured ankle, is ready. Pennsylvania's great halfback Adolph Belazire starts well here. A 29-yard return tackled by Bill Emper. But he doesn't do so well here. He's nailed by Charlie Kay. Penn can't move, but Harvard can. Tommy Wynn, right side, 16 yards. Down the field they go, setting the game's tempo. Holt pitching, McAnally catching to the Penn 18. Milton Addison Ikaika Holt for the first touchdown, 7-0 Harvard. And now the defense. Tim Martin of Pennsylvania punts to Harvard's Mike Page, who gets the blocking and makes like a tailback, 41 yards and a touchdown. 14-0 Harvard. No way it's Penn's day. Marty Vaughn's pass to tight end Kellogg for an apparent touchdown, called back, offensive holding. And as the quarter ends, Charlie Kay sprinkles salt with this sack. Second quarter, and it's the southpaw to the big guy for 29 yards. More bad luck for Penn. Hardy Wiedemann creams Vaughn for a 10-yard loss. And another good Pennsylvania pass gain is nullified by a penalty. Now Harvard rolls again. Fullback Neil Miller picks up 5 yards. And 5 more inside the 20. Third quarter. And there's the frickin' frack routine again. Holt to McAnally for 16 yards. Jim Curry, taking over for the injured Alki Sitsos, bangs in a 34-yard field goal, 24-0. Belizaire, remember him, is hit by Paul Hartnett for -5. Vaughn is forced to pass more now. He hits Bob Bucola for a 14-yarder. But he can't come up with another one as Wiedemann catches him. There. Another of the Crimson laymen halt. Tight end Pete Curtin returns to action, catches this for 15 yards. Third quarter, Harvard leads 24-0.
Wide right. Holt straight back to throw. Fakes once. Pumps again. Throws deep for McAnally. Touchdown!
Pen kick partially blocked here by Al Costello, who is making a habit of it, his third in the last 3 games. Other people get into the act. Ed Cronin flies for 25 yards. Then Cronin blocks for John Flood, who steamrollers 31 yards for the score to make it 36-0. Now Doug Gordon's at quarterback. A strike to Tom Lincoln, 10 yards. Jim Curry ends the scoring with a 44-yard field goal. There's no way to hold down the score effectively. Harvard 39, Penn nothing. Tight end Pete Curtin, number 85, and quarterback Milt Holt, number 12, figure to be very involved as the Crimson journeys to New Jersey to play an up-and-down Princeton team. Always tough at Palmer Stadium. First series, Harvard at its 26. Milt Holt sets the tenor of the game with this 31-yard shot to McAnally. Next play, the give is to Neil Miller, and the runaway train goes 34 yards to the Princeton 9. Holt knifes in for the touchdown. Harvard leads 6-0. The Tigers bounce back. Ron Beeble to tight end Harding for 14 yards. Princeton's fine halfback, Walt Snickenberger, barrels 27 yards to the Harvard 1. Snickenberger goes in. The point is made, and it's Princeton 7-6. Harvard's turn again. Holt finds another catcher, tight end Pete Curtin, for 19 yards to the Tiger 33. Same combination, Holt to Curtin. Touchdown Harvard. 13-7 lead, and that's the way the first quarter ends. Second period, Princeton moves. Snickenberger for 16. And later, this line drive by Scott Morrison just makes it, and the Harvard lead is now just 3 points. Snickenberger of Princeton moves again. Great block by Bob Reed. Beeble passes to his flanker, 19 yards to the Harvard 1, and it looks bad now. But a big play coming up. John Clark blows in to catch Snickenberger on the 5. Princeton fails to cash in. Same play, same game, 18 yards. Leading to this Harvard touchdown, Holt to McAnally, and at halftime, Harvard 19, Princeton 10. Third quarter, and Princeton stokes up a long drive helped by this 19-yard pass play. And this 16-yarder from Beeble to his split end. The Tigers come to within 2 points on this ramble by Snickenberger. 19-17, Harvard leads. Later for a Harvard touchdown and a 26-17 lead. Harvard's adjuster, John Clark, comes up with his second big play with this interception just before the third quarter ends. And in the early moments of the fourth period, Holt keeps for the touchdown, scores a 2-point play, Harvard in front 34-17. And that's the way it ends as the Crimson remains unbeaten in Ivy League play. Harvard Stadium, a wind-whistling November day with the Crimson facing Brown, an up-and-coming team with a solid defense and 2 straight upset wins. Milt Holt finds things rough early. Brown has trouble too. Sokolowski fumbles. Eric Kurzweil recovers for the Crimson. But they can't move, and the attempted field goal by Jim Curry never gets attempted. Halfway through the quarter, Kurzweil recovers another Bruin fumble, but again the Harvard offense goes nowhere. Brown moves the ball now. Pete Beatrice hitting Fitzpatrick with an 18-yarder to the Harvard 20. They get down to the 6, are stopped, and Violante's field goal try is blocked by Al Costello. First quarter, no score. Opening the second period, Milt Holt hits Pat McAnally for a 19-yarder. And 2 plays later, Milt finds Tommy Wynn open over the middle. The quick sophomore is long gone and hard to find. 60 yards for the score. Citsos adds the extra point, and Harvard leads 7-0. The teams trade yardage after that. Beatrice scrambles and does things his way for 18 yards, tackled by Wiedemann. And the final play of the quarter sees Holt passing to McAnally for 19 yards, but it's still 7-0 at the half. Now third quarter. Things seem to change around. Beatrice hits Kevin Slattery, a fine back all afternoon, for 21 yards. The drive continues, then slows, and Violante's 27-yard field goal puts Brown on the board. Harvard 7, Brown 3. The Bruins continue to move well while holding Harvard to nothing. A pass to tight end Shelovich, 15 yards. They stall, though, and this time Violante's try from the 37 is blocked by Dan Staggers. The teams continue through the period with Harvard still leading by 4. 5 minutes into the final period, Brown on its 16. Beatrice hangs one up for Bob Farnham, the split end, and he goes to the Harvard 48. Beatrice to Fitzpatrick here. The stumble prevents a touchdown. Fullback McNamara to the 12. And 5 plays later, Slattery dives in to put Brown in the lead, 10-7. The Crimson has every opportunity to win. Holt to Tommy Wynn here. Great catch. A penalty tacked on down to the 9-yard line, and a field goal misses. A fumble recovery by Sciola at the 22. 2 more penalties against Brown. Getting dark. But with 35 seconds remaining at the 13, this big interception, and Brown earns a tough 10-7 win, the Crimson's first Ivy League loss. So now it's down to the game. Harvard facing Yale at the stadium, and the Ivy League title, or a share of same, hanging loose. Yale is unbeaten and a heavy favorite. Harvard, coming off the tough loss to Brown, is geared for an upset. The old and the new, 74 captain Brian Hare, number 56, offensive tackle. Captain-elect for 75, Dan Jiggets, offensive tackle. And here we go as Harvard and Yale get together. Yale kicking off. The Crimson with the ball, and Tommy Wynn takes Milt Holt's pass on the second scrimmage play, 19 yards. Holt shows early form. Hits Peter Curtin for 13 yards. But a fumble stops this drive. Halfway through the period, Yale quarterback Tom Doyle hits his favorite receiver Gary Fensick for 11 yards. Doyle keeps this time and goes for 13. Yale gets the ball back on a fumble, and Terrell Hennings gets it going with this 14-yarder. It helps lead to this touchdown. Green hitting right tackle to make it Yale 7, Harvard nothing. That was the score at the end of the quarter. Even though trailing, the Crimson is playing well. Witness this sack by Sciola, Newhouse, and Shaw. Defensive tackle Charlie Kay and defensive halfback Al Costello record this win. But Harvard cannot move, and Yale can. Doyle to Fensick, a hot battery all day, 42 yards here. And Yale captain Rudy Green hits tackle again. Yale leads 13-0. But the Crimson moves into things again as Tommy Wynn returns the kickoff 32 yards for good field position. On this drive, Holt's passing is sensational. This one to Curtin, 16 yards. This one to McAnally, and an interference call tacked on. To Mack again, this time on the ground at the Yale 3. And onto the scoreboard with this to McAnally, Yale 13, Harvard 7. Yale kept possession for the next 4 minutes, moving to the Harvard 36, and then were forced to punt. The clock moving toward the half. Holt laterals across the world to McAnally. McAnally passes to Jim Curry to the Yale 2-yard line. And with 9 seconds left, it's Holt to Curtin, touchdown. And at halftime, Harvard has the lead 14-13. The third quarter was fought evenly, each team moving the ball well, but nobody scoring. Into the fourth they go. Yale forces a break. Mack bobbles a low pass from center. Yale's ball on the 15, but a personal foul moves it to the 30. The Elis can't move. They settle for this 38-yarder by Randy Carter. Yale 16-14 with 12 minutes left. 7 minutes later, Yale punts to the Harvard 10. 5 minutes, 7 seconds left, and Harvard is penalized to the 5, 95 yards away. Milt Holt hits McAnally out to the 19. Neil Miller gets a yard. Tommy Wynn off tackle, 5 yards, first down, and a big play coming here.
Holt goes back to throw. He's being rushed. Gets the pass off. It is complete. Complete at the 42-yard line of Yale to Steve Dart.
Milt comes back to Dart on this screen, 9 yards. Second and 1, and Holt goes for Wynn at the 20. Incomplete. Wynn hits right tackle for the first down, now at the Yale 32. Holt hit hard in the third quarter, doesn't remember this as he talks to Coach Restic. It's the bell-rung quarterback out of bounds on this play after picking up 3. Final career hookup, Holt to McAnally, 11 yards to the 18 and the clock moving. No one to pass to. Holt runs to the 14. Holt rolls right, gains 2 to the 12. Now a great call. Neil Miller on a trap for 11 yards to the 1-yard line. First down, 25 seconds left. Holt, no gain into the line. Second and goal, 19 seconds left in this play.
He is running himself for the goal line. He's in for the touchdown. Harvard, touchdown with 15 seconds left. Milt Holt runs in.
All hell breaks loose as Alki Sitsos gets his 20th extra point without a miss this year. And the wild and wonderful season ends shortly thereafter as the Yale quarterback runs through people and Harvard unsuccessfully, and Harvard beats Yale 21-16. Harvard gaining its share of the Ivy League title with an incredible 95-yard march in the gloaming, pulling out the upset of the season and closing with satisfaction the great careers of the seniors led by Pat McAnally and Milt Holt and Bob Shaw and George Newhouse and so many others. It was the realization of Coach Joe Restic's dream, the coming of age of his system with the help of his outstanding coaching staff. Harvard football 1974, a time to remember and a time to look back on as plans begin for 1975. All of a sudden, it's 1975. The memories of last year's stirring finish and Ivy League co-championship are fond but fading. McAnally and Holt are gone. And Harvard's football team goes into the season with a lot of youth and some holes to fill. Coach Joe Restic and his staff have been working to shore up the defensive line, among other things. But most of all, they're looking for a quarterback. At the 11th hour, they found one, Jim Kubacki, a junior from Fairview Park, Ohio, from last year's JV squad. With that settled, the Crimson opens against Holy Cross at Harvard Stadium. Harvard will hinge on the running of number 24, Tommy Wynn, this year. A harbinger, perhaps. Kubacki is hurt. Replaced by Mike Lynch, who completes this pass to tight end Bob McDermott for 34 yards. Harvard's defense shows well on this hit by safety John Judge. And on this illegal procedure play, halfback Bill Emper whacks great Holy Cross receiver Dave Quayle. Holy Cross has a drive going here. A 21-yarder, Rains to Mullen. But Bill Emper slows them down here, blowing in on Keith for the loss. And the first quarter ends scoreless. Second quarter, and it's Quayle again on the end of this long pass play. But the Crimson stops the drive on this tackle by Tom Joyce, and the recovery by Peter Mee. A Harvard drive is helped by this Kubacki to Win screen pass, 13 yards. Later, Mark Taylor picks up 11 yards. But nobody can move nowhere, and the half ends 0-0. Third quarter, and after stopping a Crusader drive, Harvard starts to move on this Kubacki to Win connection. Kubacki can run, too. 15 yards here. Jim uses his tight end, Bob McDermott, for 15 more. 4 plays later, Kubacki cracks in to make it Harvard 6, Holy Cross nothing. Number 19 is oiling up now, hitting McDermott again. And then he swings by himself for 27 yards. And soon bucks the last half yard. Harvard on top 12-0 after 3 quarters. Holy Cross comes back quickly in the fourth quarter on this 63-yard beauty from Martin to Mullen. Now Harvard 12, Holy Cross 7. Five minutes later, George Newhouse, the Harvard adjuster, swoops in on this fumble. It starts a Crimson drive, which is capped by the Kubacki-McDermott battery, and it's now Harvard 18, Holy Cross 7. No more scoring, but this 40-yard ramble by Jim Kubacki keeps it interesting. Harvard starts things right in 75 with an 18-7 win over Holy Cross. With Holy Cross under its belt, Harvard takes on Boston University at Harvard Stadium. Lightly regarded, the Terriers still pose an offensive threat out of their veer system. They move it well down to the Harvard 20, but there Bob Baggett forces this fumble, recovered by Lou Bernieri. Harvard can't move and gets in trouble when a BU punt gets up in the air and hits Fran Cronin, and the Terriers recover at the Crimson 4. 3 plays later, BU gets on the scoreboard and leads 7-0. Harvard starts its only productive drive of the day. Tommy Wynn hits here for 9 yards. Kubacki pitches to Mark Taylor down to the 28. From there, they go to the BU 19 as the quarter ends. BU 7, Harvard nothing. Despite a batch of penalties, the Crimson prevails, and the drive is capped on this 22-yarder from Kubacki to split end Steve Saxon. The extra point is blocked, and it's BU 7, Harvard 6. Threats are mounted unsuccessfully by each side until late in the quarter, this nifty by Neil Miller for 40 yards to the BU 37. Moments later, a fine catch by Steve Saxon at the BU 9-yard line. And with 43 seconds left in the half, Mike Lynch bombs through this 32-yard field goal to make it Harvard 9, Boston University 7 at halftime. The third quarter was scoreless, and now here in the fourth period, Harvard's Jim Curry gets off a tremendous punt, 57 yards, with hardly a return. But things start to happen. A Harvard blitz just misses, and BU quarterback Geiger beats it for 20 yards. And the Terriers soon move it in on this 45-yard bomb from Geiger to Kessel. BU 13, Harvard 9, with just under 2 minutes to play. The Crimson still has a shot. Larry Schember almost breaks it all the way on a fine 57-yard kickoff return. The last gasp, Schember on a fourth down play just misses at the 26. And a minute later, the game ends BU 13, Harvard 9, a big, big upset. Captain Dan Jiggets leads the Crimson against Columbia in its first Ivy League game. The Lions from Morningside Heights are looked on as spoilers rather than contenders this season, a young club with a fine running attack led by senior Doug Jackson. Columbia mounts a drive immediately, helped by this scamper by Jackson. And goes on to score. Mike Delaney sneaking in, Columbia 7, Harvard nothing. 2/3 of the way through the period, Harvard untracks itself and moves 80 yards in 7 plays, capped by this 62-yard stunner from Jim Kubacki to Jim Curry. And the game is tied 7-7. It stays that way through the quarter. Second period. A Lion drive stalls, but Bob McKeon kicks a 29-yard field goal to put Columbia out in front 10-7. Harvard bounces right back. Kubacki hits Bob McDermott for 25 yards. Same combination for 22 to the Columbia 29-yard line. Roadrunner Tommy Wynn hits off tackle for 17 yards, and it's Harvard 14, Columbia 10. This game is offense. Doug Jackson keys another Lion drive with this run. And scores with this 15-yarder. Columbia 17, Harvard 14. And the beat goes on. Harvard's turn. Kubacki to Curry, 18 yards. Mark Taylor off tackle for 13 more. Kubacki pitching again, this time to McDermott to the 8-yard line. And now Jim Kubacki himself, sweeping right, Harvard 21, Columbia 17. The Crimson defense holds, forces this poor kick, and gets this fine return by John Judge. Mark Taylor gets things in gear with a left tackle ramble. A few plays later, Wynn uses right tackle, 10 yards. And again for 2, and the touchdown, Harvard 28, Columbia 17, and still the second quarter. 2 minutes before the half ends, Kubacki throws a strike to Taylor for 31 yards. And it's Kubacki to McDermott for the score. Mike Lynch's 5th straight extra point makes it Harvard 35, Columbia 17 at the half. Third quarter, Columbia controls the ball and the scoreboard. Halfback Jay Hickey goes 33 yards. The drive goes to the 9, where Jackson blasts in for the touchdown. Harvard 35, Columbia 24. The Lions ride a 76-yard drive this time. Quarterback Mike Delaney going in for the touchdown. A two-point try fails. 35-30 Harvard after 3 quarters. In the fourth period, it's quiet. Though there's one more serious Columbia threat. Doug Jackson winds down a great rushing afternoon here. He ran for over 170 yards. The drive falls down at the Crimson 13, and Harvard holds on for a shaky 35-30 victory. Split end Jim Curry gets ready for his big one as Harvard moves into Shellcop Field at Ithaca, New York to play the Big Red of Cornell, a question mark team with a new coach, a new look, and high potential. Mark Taylor sweeps for 11 yards. Neil Miller smashes for 6. And Tommy Wynn goes the final 11. Quickly, 7-0 Harvard. A Cornell pass goes awry. Bill Emper picks it off for Harvard. Jim Kubacki zeroes in on Jim Curry, 22 yards. No touchdown this time, but Mike Lynch rams home the field goal and Harvard leads 10-0. Cornell's best gain of the quarter was this run by Don Finelli for 21 yards. Harvard starts a late period drive with a Kubacki to McDermott thing. And the first quarter ends with this near home run from Kubacki to Curry. Harvard leading 10-0 and threatening. The second quarter drive is culminated by Kubacki. Harvard 17, Cornell nothing. Cornell gets moving late in the period. Joe Malika to Bruce Starks. And fullback Andy Rudiman gets 10 more. The Big Red scores on this play. Tim LeBeau, the runner. Harvard 17, Cornell 7. Kubacki is still throwing. This one to Curry, 44 yards. And Mike Lynch's field goal kills the half. Harvard 20, Cornell 7. Third quarter, and Neil Miller keys another Harvard drive, 11 yards. Down the field they go, and the two Jims get together again. Kubacki to Curry. Harvard 27, Cornell 7. Halfway through the quarter, they do it again, this time for 25 yards. Jim Curry set a new Harvard record in this game with 9 catches for 214 yards. New England, ECAC, and Ivy Player of the Week. Mark Taylor slips in for the score, 34-7 Harvard. Cornell scores in the fourth quarter, but it's clearly a Harvard day, 34-13. The World Series is finally over in Boston, so full attention can be paid to another Tong War, Harvard versus Dartmouth in Cambridge, on another in a succession of gray, rainy Saturdays. Dartmouth quarterback Mike Brake passes to Kurt Oberg for 18 yards. And later hits Charlie Potts for the touchdown. Dartmouth 7, Harvard nothing. Later, Harvard holds and accelerates on Tommy Wynn's 21-yard romp. Mark Taylor for 7 more. Down deep now, play action pass from Kubacki to Miller. Out on the 2. After 2 losses, Kubacki zings to McDermott to tie it up 7-7. Dartmouth drives again. Oberg for 10 yards here. The first quarter ends 7-7. First play of the second period. George Newhouse blows in for an 11-yard sack. And Dartmouth settles for a 49-yard field goal by Nick Lowry. Dartmouth 10, Harvard 7. The Crimson moves back into it with another long drive, keyed by consecutive gains by Tommy Wynn of 12, 11, and 8 yards. This was Wynn's second straight 100-yard-plus game. Still moving, Kubacki for 13 yards. And the Kubacki-McDermott battery clicks again. Harvard 14, Dartmouth 10. One of the season's best defensive plays follows. Dartmouth tries a razzle-dazzle long bomb into the end zone. The receiver is there, and out of the woodwork comes Bill Emper for a dazzling save. Frustrated quarterback Brate tries another pass. It's intercepted by Tom Joyce. Joyce returns to the Dartmouth 19. Big play in this ball game. Joyce was outstanding in this contest. "15 seconds left. The Crimson breaks the Greens back with another Kubacki to McDermott touchdown. At the half, it's Harvard 21, Dartmouth 10. Third period, another fine defensive play by Joyce, forcing the fumble after the reception. Newhouse recovering. It's defense again. Eric Kurzweil picks up another Dartmouth mistake. In the fourth period, a Dartmouth threat is stopped by Bill Emper again. Now the run of the day. Kubacki, seemingly stopped on his own 10, turns left and shows the other side of his all-purpose quarterbacking. 71 yards to the Dartmouth 19. And Mike Lynch seals the lid with this field goal. Final score, Harvard 24, Dartmouth 10. Still unbeaten in Ivy League play, the Crimson Wagon takes off for Franklin Field, Philadelphia, there to meet a Penn team hurt badly by graduation, but tough on its home artificial turf. Penn kicks off. It doesn't take long for Harvard to establish momentum. Sophomore Larry Schember breaks a beautiful 64-yard return to the Penn 28. Mark Taylor starts the drive, 7 yards. Kubacki hits Curry for 11. And Tommy Wynn scores from 5 yards out. Quickly, Harvard 7, Penn nothing. The Quakers take it on to the 5, but take this field goal by Tim Mazzetti. Harvard 7, Penn 3 through the first period. Second quarter action now. Kubacki and Curry get together again for 38 yards. Wynn straight through for 8. And Jim Kubacki for the touchdown on a scramble. Harvard leads 14-3. Special teams in on this action. Curry's 52-yard punt is fumbled. And Walt Herbert recovers for the Crimson. Jim Kubacki to Jim Curry, an old refrain. And on another series, they play that song again. 53 yards. But the Harvard drive stalls. The red and blue tries to get something rolling. Bob Graustein to Ron Kellogg for 48 yards. But a field goal attempt misses. And at halftime, Harvard leads 14-3. Third quarter and a punishing play that hurts. It hurts Harvard, but worse, it hurts Jim Kubacki. The fine quarterback has his left shoulder smashed and leaves the game. After a Crimson drive is stopped, Penn with the ball fumbles on its 20. Kubacki's replacement at quarterback, Mike Lynch, reaches Bob McDermott in the end zone, and it's Harvard 21, Penn 3. Defense shuts off Penn as John Judge comes in to intercept for Harvard. Third quarter score, Harvard 21, Penn 3. Fourth quarter, and this gain by Neil Miller puts him over 1,000 yards for his career. Penn gets nowhere as Harvard continues to smack and sack. Lynch runs the team well, completes this pass to McDermott. It's all Harvard today, despite the temporary loss of a quarterback. Harvard 21, Penn 3. The Princeton Tiger comes to town, a team that has shown it can move the ball, but has had its troubles with defense. Harvard, still unbeaten in the Ivy League, cannot afford to look past Princeton to undefeated Brown next week. There's finally some decent weather at Harvard Stadium. The Tigers move down to the 18. Then Scott Morrison bangs a 35-yard field goal, Princeton in front 3-0. Quarterback Mike Lynch, starting in place of injured Jim Kubacki, hands off to Tommy Wynn for 9 yards. And Lynch pitches to Mark Taylor, who gains 13, fumble and all. Orchestration in the Harvard backfield. And Lynch on play action passes to Bob McDermott, 27 yards. But the best drive of the quarter is stopped on this interception. Princeton 3, Harvard 0 at the first quarter. Second period, big play for Princeton, third and long. Ron Beeble to Neil Chamberlain, first down. The drive continues on this 9-yarder by fullback Bob Reed. And Reed moves for a touchdown as Princeton leads 10-0. This play is pivotal. Jim Curry punts to Ed Sheraton. There's a handoff to Mike Carter, and there he goes, 77 yards for a touchdown. It makes it Princeton 17, Harvard 0 in a stunner so far. Harvard's frustration continues, although it starts well. Lots of motion. Mike Lynch dumps one off to Jim Curry to the Princeton 42. Lynch to Curry again, this time for 17 yards, but there's a costly penalty here, illegal pass, and the first down becomes a memory. It's that way to the end of the half, Princeton 17 and Harvard 0. Third quarter, Mike Lynch completes to Curry for 33 yards. Two-thirds through the third quarter, Beeble caps a long Princeton drive with a touchdown pass to Kevin Gropp. And the Tigers lead impressively after 3 quarters, 24-0. Fourth quarter. Sophomore Tim Davenport comes on at quarterback for Harvard, passes to Tommy Wynn for 26 yards. And to Curry for 10 more. Wynn with a great effort here, 9 yards for a first down. Davenport passes to Taylor. 18 yards to the Princeton 5. Davenport to McDermott. Touchdown. Princeton 24, Harvard 6. Tom Joyce forces a Tiger fumble after the kickoff. John Judge recovers. Tommy Wynn takes over. 8 yards here to the 3. Same place, same guy. Touchdown. Princeton 24, Harvard 14. The Crimson again with 9 minutes left, 3rd and 9. Davenport picks up a vital first down. No one to throw to. The Hialeah, Florida quarterback breaks it out for 17 yards on his own. Ballet in the Harvard backfield again as Davenport goes to throw, and an interference call gives the ball to Harvard on the 5-yard line. And soon Tommy Wynn runs through some folks to make it close. The 2-point try doesn't work. It's Princeton 24, Harvard 20. Harvard has the ball here, but this fumble is lost, and the game goes down the drain despite a gutsy comeback. Princeton 24, Harvard 20, the Crimson's first Ivy League loss. Next week, unbeaten Brown. Now, once beaten in the Ivy League, Harvard journeys to Providence, Rhode Island to meet once-tied Brown in the season's biggest game so far. Stung by last year's defeat, Harvard's men are ready for this one. It doesn't seem that way early when Brown takes possession on a blocked punt. And takes a 3-0 lead on Jose Violante's 35-yard field goal. On the Crimson drive, Tommy Wynn on a double reverse, 24 yards. The dance in the Harvard backfield again. Jim Kubacki, comebacking after the shoulder injury, passes to Jim Curry. And to Curry again, down to the 2. Mark Taylor drives it in. Harvard 7, Brown 3. Late in the quarter, Kevin Slattery gets Brown moving with his 30-yard run. By quarter's end, the Bruins threaten on the 8. First play, second period. Bob Bateman passes to Joe Mixie, and Brown leads 10-7. The last hurrah, as it turns out. Harvard in possession. Jim Kubacki to Bob McDermott now. Kubacki sends Neil Miller out of the backfield this time. Miller to the Brown 30. Brown is penalized on the field goal attempt, and Mike Lynch makes this three-pointer good. Harvard 10, Brown 10. On the next kickoff, the Crimson thunderstorm begins. Bill O'Neill recovers the Brown fumble. Wynn hits tackle on a picture play, 11 yards. After a penalty, Kubacki finds Miller in the end zone, and it's Harvard 17, Brown 10. The defense gets into the act here, punting situation for Brown. Lou Rice blocks the punt, and the stage is set again. They move in close, and the Kubacki to Curry line hits again. Bang! Harvard 24, Brown 10. Harvard at midfield. Starting pitcher Jim Kubacki. Hits Curry again. Down to the Brown 11. And with a minute and a half left, Kubacki sneaks it over. Harvard leads 31-10. Lou Bernieri sacks the frustrated Bateman, and Harvard has the 31-10 halftime lead. Third quarter, and Brown's best effort is this 49-yard field goal by Violante, but Brown trails 31-13. On Kubacki's last personal drive, he zeroes in here on McDermott for 13 yards. Comes back to Wynn for 14 more. And completes a brilliant 15 for 18 day on this touchdown pass to Curry to make it Harvard 38, Brown 13. And that's the third quarter score. Final period, following a Brown touchdown, George Newhouse adds this pickoff to the humiliation. Brown's other quarterback is throttled again, this interception by Bill Emperor, whose pass defense was superb and later would be named captain-elect for next year. On a fourth down play, Tim Davenport drives the Crimson downfield on this 7-yard run. And later, fourth down again, new quarterback Paul Hallis hits new halfback John Sigolito in the end zone. Mike Lynch kicks his 6th extra point. Brown gets a meaningless score toward the end, but in the end it is Harvard 45, Brown 26, setting the stage for the game next week at Yale. So now it's down to the game. Harvard against Yale for the 100th time. In the Yale Bowl for the Ivy League Championship. Each team with 5 wins, 1 loss. Harvard's magical offense matching Yale's sturdy defense and consistency. Harvard's Jim Curry has punted well all season long. Early, he forces Yale's Gary Fensick into a fair catch. And Fensick doesn't like the fair catch. Mike Southworth of Yale kicks well, too. 55-yarder to the 4. Here's one of the few offensive biggies in the first quarter. Yale's Stone Phillips passes to Hall for a first down, the first complete pass of the period. The first quarter ends scoreless. Second period, Southworth maneuvers 10 yards to the Crimson 7. And from the 5, Phillips scores to make it Yale 7, Harvard nothing. Back and forth it goes. Yale's John Pagliaro struggles to the longest run of the game. He can't repeat, though. Fumbles, and Fran Cronin recovers for Harvard. It's hard, close to the vest football most of the time. Kubacki passing here hits Curry for 9 yards. And soon to Bob McDermott for 18. But a field goal misses, and the score at halftime, Yale 7, Harvard nothing, the first half belonging to Yale. Third period, the Crimson gets the ball back, and Tommy Wynn shoots for 11. Harvard shifting now. And Wynn moving for 11 more to the Yale 36. They're moving in now. Kubacki to pass, and Curry makes a great catch on the 2. Wynn hits the right side for the score. Mike Lynch's kick makes it Harvard 7, Yale 7. Toward the end of the period, Phillips reaches the Harvard 46. And the score after 3 quarters, Harvard 7, Yale 7. Fourth quarter, a big play for Harvard. John Judge intercepts a Yale pass down on the 5, maybe the biggest interception of the year. With just over 5 minutes left, Kubacki of Harvard runs. And so does Mark Taylor. Kubacki again faking the handoff and gaining 12 yards. Tommy Wynn is in on this too. 9 yards to the Yale 40. Fullback Neil Miller joins the fun and goes for 7 more. And later, the game's key play. Harvard 4th and 12 on the Yale 35. Jim Kubacki, sore arm and all, completes to Bob McDermott for the first down and keeping the drive alive. Kubacki keeps rolling. Down he goes to the Yale 9-yard line. And with 33 seconds left, the game tied. Joe Antonellis center. Davenport holds. Mike Lynch bombs one for 26 yards. It's good, sending Harvard out in front 10-7. And that's the way it holds, and the Crimson takes the Ivy League title all alone. And for the second straight year, Harvard whips Yale in the crucial game dramatically in the final moment. Seniors Dan Jiggets, Carl Cooley, Kurzweil, Newhouse, Miller, McCafferty, and Antonellis, and others cap a triumphant season that struggled through early doubt and the pains of youth and made it into Harvard's first undisputed title since the formation of the Ivy League. The best season yet for Joe Restic's system, and fair notice to all that Harvard's here to stay.